A rough childhood had left my husband a broken man and in bondage to so many things. He was easily angered. He had a bad temper. He could become verbally abusive. I don't want to in any way minimize my role in the demise of our marriage, because I made mistakes too, and I had my own set of problems. But to really get you guys to understand what made me need God so bad, I have to take you through the same road that I went down. We were married for 9 years. There were some happy middle years where we had our problems, but we weren't having as many blow-ups, as many outrages. And it was during that time that God actually blessed us with a little girl. We got her through adoption, and it was an amazing whole nother testimony there, how we come together, how it all worked out. But we got to bring her home from birth. But then my husband took on a stressful position at work, and he's always struggled with anxiety and anger. And all those came back when he took that job. And my daughter was getting old enough to really see how bad it was. I was trying to be strong and keep my vows and stand by my husband and not give up. But then the night before we were to be married 9 years, infidelity was confirmed on his part. I was devastated. It was awful. But I'd never told anybody what our marriage really was. My parents didn't know. My friends didn't know. I was embarrassed, trying to protect him. Didn't want anyone to have any hard feelings towards him. So it took about a year, but I made my escape. I moved into an apartment and took my daughter with me, our daughter. In that same weekend, my father passed away. He was the one that taught us how to live by the word, even though we strayed from it. From little on, he taught us how to do it, and he lived it himself. He passed away, and for the next few months, it was really just all a blur. I left my husband. My daughter has to visit with Daddy rather than see him every night. The one that would never give up, gave up. So we began to heal. We adjusted to our new way of life. My husband and I lived as single, even though we never really officially divorced. I started to go down the road of promiscuity, and God started calling me back into relationship with him. A bunch of stuff happened. I wound up having to move 2 hours south to live with my mother. And of course, I took our daughter with us. We visited, and we kind of got along. We really weren't invested into each other, so there was no reason to fight. We just moved on. I was at a weekend event in my church, and my pastor at the time called for prayer over marriages. My group leader lovingly nudged me and said, "You're married. This one's for you too." So I was like, well, sure, why not? So I accepted the prayer half-heartedly and made a promise that I would consider it, but I would really need a heart change to expect it to happen. About a month later, a dog that we got when we first got married got ill, and we had to make the decision to put him down, and we did that together. So we mourned the loss of him together, and that sparked conversation that finally led to, we're going to work it out. It took about another month, but God gave him a job close to where we were. He wound up making the 2-hour move, moved in with me and my daughter, along with my mother. And I'd love to say here that that's my story, but it gets worse, actually better. I felt like something wasn't right, and I started praying that God would really change and uproot anything in our life that needed to come out so that we could be where we needed to be together. And I specifically asked for any unholy relationships to be broken. And you got to be careful because God answers those kind of prayers. And I found out that he had never ended a relationship that he started before he left our hometown. Again, here we go, devastated, mad, confused, thought I made a mistake, thought I misheard God, thought, how crazy am I to bring him back so fast, and my daughter's used to him being here, and now here we go again. So I was in the bathroom because I couldn't let anyone else know that something was wrong. I couldn't tell my daughter, couldn't explain to her why I was crying. I didn't want to tell my mother. So I cried in the bathroom, and I begged God to comfort me. And he did. And for the first time, I truly felt God's presence. I truly felt him give me peace beyond understanding. Because before I come out of that bathroom, and I was listening to No Longer Slaves, no longer a slave to fear. And he really parted the Red Sea so I could walk through it. I come out of that bathroom with hope for our future. This had to come out. It had to come out like this. We can't move on if he's got secrets. I've got things that need to come out to just bear with him. And I started to heal again, and we got better. So it's another good spot to say that that's my story. But brace yourself. It happened again. A few months later, I found out he really didn't end that relationship. And I was even more devastated, more heartbroken, more confused, more mad. I felt like a fool. How could I be so naive to think that he could change? But you don't experience God the way I did that first time and then forget about it. I was reminded that he'll be there. He's the same God that comforted me the first time. He's the same God that will comfort me this time. He'll give me hope again. He'll give me peace again. He'll give me joy again. So I was ready to let him. But it took a lot longer this time. This one went deeper. And I had to be filled, and I had to run to my prayer closet and get in his presence over and over and over. Several times a day. And this went on for weeks. It was awful. But it all started to look up again. And at a weekend event, the same annual weekend event where my marriage was prayed over the first time, my husband attended. And that's when his relationship with God really started to grow. And it started not to be just an act or a routine, let's go to church, let's go home. He really started to take off. And in fact, he even asked that I lead us in a family Bible study. And we started praying together, and we started Bible studying as a family, and we started Christian counseling. We learned how to not fight. We learned how to fight. We learned how to resolve. He learned how to pronounce the word sorry. I didn't think he'd ever learn how to say that word, but he learned it, and he learned it quick. And he started apologizing before I even had a chance to get mad about something. And we've even, my daughter's old enough for us to even tell her, look, we made mistakes, but we're going to fix them. So if he loses his temper in front of her, he always makes sure to apologize to her too. And he used to make fun of me for going to church. This is the man that said that God didn't care about him. God also taught me a lot in this. He taught me how to forgive when my offender wasn't even sorry. He taught me how to forget, almost. He taught me that if he wants to bring light onto sin in my husband's life, that he doesn't need my help. I used to go through phones. I used to check histories. I used to verify stories. I used to wonder, is he really late for work? Did he really go to work? It's a whole other kind of bondage to live in, to try to work things out, but still wonder and worry, am I going to be the fool again? Once, twice, 3 times. But God really can change people, even after they've messed up once, twice, and 3 times. We're still We still have our problems. The devil still tries to turn us against each other. I had a breakdown just the other week, but God spoke to me through the radio, and that song, If We're Honest, came on. Oh my gosh, I'd never heard that song before, but I came home and played it for him that night. It's a really good song. You should listen to it, especially if you're having marriage troubles. And that's my story.